My son told me I was in the way of the business because of my daughter-in-law. He changed the documents to his name. I just nodded. I took a deep breath and left without arguing. What nobody knew is that the very next day, I went straight to the notary. In less than an hour, I reversed everything my son had done behind my back. I sold the company, I sold the ranch, and every single asset he thought he already controlled. I cut off the monthly deposits that supported that couple, and I asked for the new owner to be notified immediately. 2 days later, the new owner arrived at the company. My son and my daughter-in-law never imagined what was about to happen. They were fired right at the door in front of everyone, without ceremony, without explanations. And that was when the calls started, one after another. 97 in total. Desperate. My son begged me to speak with the new owner. But by then I was already on a cruise ship, holding hands with my wife, watching the sea open up before us. My wife Linda was laughing beside me. Ernest, let it go. Stop counting. But I could not. Every ignored ring was a small triumph. Every desperate message without a reply was pure justice. My name is Ernest Miller. I am 67 years old, and exactly 1 week ago my son stole my company, or so he thought. Let me explain how a man of my age, whom they called a burden, managed to dismantle in 72 hours what took his son 3 years to plan. But first you need to understand who I am, who I was, and what I built with these hands that my own son now considers useless. I was born on a small ranch in Texas. My father grew corn on land that was not even his. I was the third of 7 brothers. We ate beans and bread 6 days a week. On the 7th, if we were lucky, there was a little meat. At 16, I came to Houston with $50 in my pocket and a stupid dream: to be someone. I worked as everything: a loader at the market, a helper in a mechanic shop, a truck driver. I learned that money is not given away. It is earned with sweat, with early mornings, with hunger. At 25, I met Linda at a county fair. She was selling hot dogs with her mom. I arrived wearing my first suit. It was used but ironed with pride. I bought 6 hot dogs from her, even though I was only hungry for 2. She laughed at me. "Are you going to eat all that by yourself?" "No," I told her. But I needed an excuse to stay here longer. We got married 8 months later. We had nothing. Only youth and the desire to eat the world. At 30, with a loan that took me 3 years to pay off, I bought my first used excavator. I started renting excavation services to construction companies. Linda kept the accounts in a kitchen notebook. We worked 16 hours a day, we slept 5. But we grew. In 10 years I already had 5 machines. In 15, a fleet of 20 units and my own workshop. In 20, I founded Miller Machinery Incorporated, a company that not only rented equipment but manufactured it. We innovated. We adapted foreign technology to American needs. At 50 years old, I was the owner of a company that invoiced $4 million a year. I bought a 300-acre ranch where Linda always dreamed of raising horses. I built a 2-story house with a view of the mountains. And I gave my son Ryan everything I never had: the best private schools, university in Chicago, trips abroad, a new car when he turned 18, a position in the company without having to beg for opportunities like I did. Ryan grew up without knowing what hunger was, without knowing the humiliation of borrowing money, without understanding that respect is earned, not inherited. 3 years ago, he married Jessica. She came from Dallas, from a family with new money. Her father had made a fortune with fast food franchises, people who believed that having money made you superior, people who saw others as stepping stones. Since the wedding, Linda had a bad feeling. "That girl has eagle eyes," she told me. "Calculating, always measuring." I defended her. "It is just her way. She comes from another world. She will adapt." How wrong I was. The first 6 months were normal. Jessica smiled at Sunday dinners. She asked about the business with genuine interest, or so it seemed. But then she started accompanying Ryan to the office. "I just want to learn about the family business," she said. "Someday we will have children, and I want them to understand where their heritage comes from." I nodded. It seemed logical to me, even admirable. But Jessica did not come to learn. She came to conquer. She started subtly. Comments in meetings: "Mr. Miller, would it not be more efficient to automate this process? In my dad company, they already use software that reduces costs by 30%. Ryan told me that several clients have complained about delivery times. Maybe we need to review the procedures, I explained. I argued. I, who had built that company from zero, had to justify every decision to a 30-year-old girl who had never dirtied her hands with motor oil. Ryan began to change. He stopped asking for my opinion. He made decisions without consulting me. If I questioned something, he answered in front of the employees. My dad is old school. We have to modernize. The employees, those people who had worked with me for 20 years, started looking at me with pity, as if I were a relic, a burden. That word still burns in my chest. 2 months ago, Ryan and Jessica came to my office one afternoon. They had serious, rehearsed faces. "Dad, we need to talk." I sat down. They remained standing. That already seemed like a lack of respect to me. But I stayed silent. "Jessica and I have been analyzing the company," said Ryan. "We believe the moment has come to make important changes in the structure." "What kind of changes?" Jessica took out a folder. Always so prepared, always so efficient. "Mr. Miller, with all the love in the world, the company needs more agile leadership. You have done an extraordinary job during all these years, but the market changed. The competition is fierce. We need someone who is 100% focused, without the distractions of age." The distractions of age? As if my 67 years were a disease. "Jessica, I have run this company for 35 years. I know every client, every supplier, every operation." "Exactly," said Ryan. "That is exactly why, Dad. You already gave everything. You already fulfilled your duty. Now is the time for you to enjoy your retirement. Travel with Mom. Rest." "I do not want to retire." Awkward silence. Jessica and Ryan looked at each other. That was when I knew they had a plan B, Dad. Ryan took a deep breath. "We have consulted with a corporate lawyer. It turns out there are some irregularities in the legal structure of the company. Tax issues that could bring us serious problems." "Irregularities, Ryan. Notary Ross reviewed all those documents 6 months ago. Everything is in order." "Well, this lawyer is a specialist in modern corporate law. He says the best way to protect the family assets is to transfer the shares to the next generation. It is common, Dad. All family businesses do it." There was the real objective. "What do you want me to do? Sign the company over to you?" "It is not like that, Dad," said Ryan. But his voice sounded fake. "It is just reorganizing the legal structure. You would still be part of the board, obviously," Jessica added. "Mr. Miller, this also protects you. If something happens, God forbid, the company would remain in legal limbo. This way we ensure continuity." I looked at them in silence. At my son, the man I once carried on my shoulders through the streets of the ranch, the boy who cried when I left him at school, the young man who hugged me when I gave him the keys to his first car. Now that man saw me as an obstacle. "It is fine," I finally said. They blinked surprised. "It is fine?" Ryan repeated. "Yes. If you believe that is best for the company, we will do it. But I want to review all the documents calmly. Have the lawyer send them to me. I will give you an answer in a week." Jessica smiled. "Victory." "Of course, Mr. Miller. Attorney Carter will send you everything by mail." They left my office holding hands. I watched them walk away. Ryan whispered something in Jessica's ear. She laughed. I was left alone at my desk. The same desk where I had signed my first big contract, where I had celebrated every triumph, where I had cried in silence when the company almost went bankrupt in the crisis of 2008 and I managed to save it. Now that desk was no longer mine, or so they believed. Linda entered half an hour later. She knows me too well. "Ernest, what happened?" "You have that face." I told her everything, every word, every betrayal disguised as business advice. My wife, that woman who has shared 40 years of laughter and tears with me, sat in silence. Then she said something that surprised me. "What are you going to do?" She did not tell me to forgive them. She did not ask me to think it over. She just asked me what I was going to do. Because Linda had also seen the contempt in Jessica's eyes. She had also heard the comments. The documents arrived 2 days later. A thick manila envelope delivered by private courier. The sender, Attorney Gerald Carter, corporate lawyer. Address in the most elegant area of Houston, of course. I opened it in my office. Linda was with me. I wanted her to see everything. It was 40 pages of legal jargon, fancy words, tangled clauses, paragraphs designed to confuse. But I was not stupid. I had been signing contracts for 35 years. I knew how to read what really mattered. And what mattered was on page 15. Mr. Ernest Miller totally and irrevocably cedes ownership of the shares representing 100% of the capital stock of Miller Machinery, Inc. in favor of Mr. Ryan Miller. Total, irrevocable, 100%. They were not asking me to share the company. They were taking it from me. I kept reading. There was more. Mr. Ernest Miller resigns from any administrative directive or legal representation position within the company, committing not to intervene in operational, strategic, or financial decisions. They were kicking me out of my own company. But there was something else that froze my blood. A clause in small print almost hidden on page 32. The grantor acknowledges having received as consideration the symbolic amount of $1 American, declaring his conformity and releasing the assignee from any additional obligation. $1. My company, my life, my sweat, my blood. For $1, Linda read over my shoulder. I heard her hold her breath. Ernest, this is robbery. Yes, I said with a calm voice. Too calm. That is exactly what it is. My phone rang. Ryan. Dad, did you receive the documents? Yes, son. I am reviewing them. Perfect. Attorney Carter says we can sign on Friday at his office. I will pick you up at 10 in the morning. Jessica will also be present, so she understands the whole process well. Of course Jessica was going to be present. She was the architect of all this. Ryan, I have some doubts about certain clauses. I heard a sigh of impatience on the other end of the line. Dad, that is why the lawyer will be there. He explains everything to you. But believe me, this is the best for everyone. I already spoke with the accountant and the director of operations. Everyone agrees the company needs this change. You spoke with my employees. My employees? Without consulting me. It is fine, Ryan. See you on Friday. I hung up before he could keep talking. Linda looked at me with those eyes I knew so well. Worry mixed with fury. What are you going to do, Ernest? I got up from my chair. I took the envelope with the documents. I walked to the window of my office. That window from where I could see the workshop, the machines, the trucks with my last name painted on the sides. I am going to go to that appointment on Friday, I said. Are you going to sign? I turned to her. I am going to sign, but not what they expect. Linda knew me too well. She saw something in my eyes, something she had not seen in years. Determination, coldness, strategy. What do you plan? I am going to need you to trust me, my love, and accompany me in something that might seem crazy. She got up. She walked towards me. She took my hands. I have spent 40 years trusting you, Ernest Miller. I am not going to stop now. That night I did not sleep. I stayed in the home study with a cup of coffee that got cold without me tasting it. On my computer, I opened all the company files. Contracts, property titles, financial statements, bank accounts. I reviewed every document with the patience of a surgeon. I looked for every legal detail, every clause, every vulnerable point, and I found it. At 6 in the morning on Wednesday, I left the house without waking Linda. I left a note in the kitchen. I will be back late. Do not worry. Everything is going to be fine. I drove to downtown Houston. I did not go to my office. I went straight to the office of Mr. Harvey Ross. Harvey was the notary who had handled all my legal affairs since I founded the company. A man of 73 years, one of the few left. A man of his word, of honor. The kind that when they say, count on me, you can bet your life. His secretary was surprised to see me without an appointment. Mr. Miller, the attorney, is in. Tell him it is urgent. Please. 5 minutes later, I was in his office. Harvey received me with concern on his face. Ernest, what happened? You look terrible. Harvey, I need you to tell me the absolute truth. Do my company documents have any legal irregularity? He frowned. Irregularity? What are you talking about? We reviewed everything 6 months ago. Your company is legally solid. Why do you ask? I handed him the envelope with the documents Ryan had sent me. Harvey read in silence. His expression changed as he advanced through the pages, from confusion to disbelief, from disbelief to indignation. This is fraud, he finally said. His voice trembled with rage. "Ernest, this is dispossession disguised as corporate reorganization. Did Ryan send you this? Ryan and his wife? And Attorney Carter? I know that guy. He is a shark. He specializes in this type of operation. He helps children strip their parents of their companies. Everything perfectly legal on paper, but morally repugnant." "Is it legal?" Harvey sighed. "If you sign these documents in front of this notary they chose, yes, it would be completely legal. You would lose everything. The company, your position, your right to speak. And that symbolic dollar as payment is an insult. But technically it fulfills the requirement of consideration." I sat in the chair in front of his desk. The weight of the betrayal fell on me like a ton of concrete. "Harvey, what options do I have?" He took off his glasses. He cleaned them with a handkerchief. He took his time to answer. "Legally, as long as you do not sign, the company is still yours. Totally yours, you have absolute control, but if you sign, I am not going to sign that. But I need to do something else. Something they do not expect." Harvey looked at me intensely. "What do you have in mind?" I took a deep breath. "I want to sell the company. All of it. Complete. Before Friday." Harvey remained silent for 5 seconds that seemed eternal. "Ernest, that is. Complicated. A sale like that requires time. Valuation. Searching for buyers. Negotiations. That is why I came to you. I know you have contacts. For years you have handled sales of big companies. You know investors, corporate groups, people who have been interested in my company." It was true. During the last decade, at least 3 business groups had offered to buy Miller Machinery. I always rejected the offers. My company was not for sale, it was for my son. But my son no longer existed for me. "Ernest," said Harvey with a soft voice, "are you sure? It is your life, your legacy. My legacy was going to be for Ryan, but he decided to steal it. Now my legacy will be the most expensive lesson of his life." Harvey nodded slowly. "All right. There is a business group from Chicago, Northern Industrial Group. 2 years ago they asked me if you would be willing to sell. I told them no, but that if you ever changed your mind they would be the first to know. Call them. Ernest, they will want to do due diligence. Check the books. Negotiate terms. Tell them I am willing to sell at fair market price. No haggling, no delays. That I have all the documentation ready. That they can send their auditors today. But I need to close the deal before Friday." Harvey looked at me as if he were seeing another person. "This is extreme. They tried to be extreme with me." "I am just returning the favor." Harvey picked up his phone. "Give me 2 hours." I left his office at 9 in the morning. The Texas sun was strong. The city was waking up with its usual chaos. Trucks, vendors, the smell of coffee and gasoline. Everything seemed different to me, as if I were seeing my city for the last time with the eyes of the man I was. I drove to the ranch. I needed to be in that place. Walk on those lands I bought with the profits of 10 years of work. See Linda horses grazing calmly. Sit on the porch of the house and remember why all this had been worth it. Linda was in the kitchen when I arrived. She was preparing food as if it were a normal day, but nothing was normal anymore. How did it go? In a few hours we will know. Everything might change, my love. She left the pot on the stove. She wiped her hands on her apron. She approached me. "Ernest, are we going to lose the ranch?" "Probably." I expected tears. I expected resistance. But Linda just nodded. "This ranch is beautiful, but without dignity, without respect. It is just dirt and walls. If we have to let it go to recover our peace, we let it go. That is why I married this woman." My phone rang at 11:30. "Harvey, Ernest. They are interested, very interested. The CEO of Northern Industrial Group is flying in from Chicago this afternoon. He wants to meet tomorrow first thing in the morning. Perfect. But there is something else. I also called an acquaintance who handles luxury real estate. I told him about the ranch. He has a client from Houston looking for a property exactly like yours. Do you want to sell it too?" I looked out the window. The horses. The trees. The house we built. "Yes. Sell it all." I hung up. Linda hugged me from behind. "Are you sure about this?" I have never been more sure of anything in my life. That night we had dinner in silence. Neither of us had much to say, but there was a strange peace between us. The peace that comes when you finally make a decision after months of suffering. Ryan called me at 9 at night. Dad, is everything okay? I called you at the office and they told me you did not go. I am at the ranch, son. I needed to think. Think about what? Dad, you already reviewed the documents, right? On Friday we sign, and that is it. It is simple. Yes, Ryan, it is very simple. Perfect. I will pick you up at 9:30. Jessica is very excited. She says this is going to take the company to the next level. Of course she was excited. See you Friday, son. I hung up. Linda looked at me from the sofa. Are you going to tell him before? No. Let him find out when everything is done. Thursday dawned cloudy. A bad omen, my mother would say. But I do not believe in omens. I believe in actions and consequences. At 8 in the morning I was at Harvey office. With me were 3 men in suits. The CEO of Northern Industrial Group, his financial director and his corporate lawyer, and Mr. Miller, said the CEO. A man of about 50. We have admired your company for years. The way you have innovated, your reputation with clients, the loyalty of your employees. It is exactly the type of operation we want in our portfolio. They reviewed the numbers. All night. Your books are impeccable. The company is even more solid than we thought. How much do you offer? The financial director slid a document across the table. $6 million. Cash. Immediate transfer. It was a good price. Fair. Maybe even generous. When can you close? Today. Now. If you are ready. I looked at Harvey. He nodded. The documents were prepared. There is one condition, I said. The 3 men looked at me with attention. My son Ryan works in the company as director of operations. My daughter-in-law Jessica is also on the payroll as an advisor. I want both of them fired immediately after the sale is finalized. The CEO did not blink. Personal reasons? Completely personal. Understood. It is part of the deal. We signed for 2 hours, every page, every clause, Harvey explained. I signed. The lawyers certified. At 11 in the morning on Thursday, Miller Machinery, Inc. was no longer mine. $6 million appeared in my bank account. An amount I never imagined having altogether. An amount that represented 35 years of my life. But I did not feel joy. I only felt emptiness. Mr. Miller, said the CEO. We will take control of the facilities tomorrow first thing in the morning. Our team will arrive at 8. Do you want to be present? No. Send your people. I have nothing left to do there. We left the office. Linda was waiting for me in the car. She saw my face and knew. Done? Done. She took my hand. And the ranch? The buyer comes tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon. He offered $1.5 million. I accepted. Linda closed her eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek. The first I saw in this whole process. 40 years on that ranch. Ernest, I know, my love. I know. But there was no turning back. That afternoon I did something else. Something I knew would hurt. I entered the banking system. Ryan and Jessica had corporate cards from the company. I deposited $2,500 monthly to each of them besides their salaries. Money for expenses, for trips, for their whims. I canceled the cards. I closed the accounts. I stopped the automatic deposits. I also spoke with my accountant. Joe, I need you to stop all payments to Ryan Miller and Jessica Miller. No explanations. Just stop them. Joe, who had been handling my company finances for 20 years, hesitated. Mr. Miller, did something happen? It happened that I no longer work here. The company was sold, and they are going to find out very soon. My God, do not worry about your job, Joe. The new owners will want to keep the team, but Ryan and Jessica, they are leaving. I hung up. Linda found me in the home study that night. Ernest, you are very quiet. I am waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for the chaos to begin. And the chaos began exactly at 8:15 in the morning on Friday. Ryan arrived punctual at the ranch to pick me up. He rang the bell 3 times. I was looking out the window. Linda was packing suitcases in the bedroom. I did not open. Ryan knocked again. Then he called my cell phone. I did not answer. I heard his voice outside. Dad? Are you there? We are going to be late with Attorney Carter. Silence. Ryan waited 10 minutes more. Then he left. At 8:45, I got a text message. Dad? Where are you? We are waiting for you at the notary. I did not reply. At 9:30. Another call. I did not answer. At 10 in the morning, the CEO of Northern Industrial Group arrived at the Miller Machinery offices with his full team. I was not there. But Joe told me everything afterwards. Ryan was in his office when they entered. The new owner introduced himself. He extended his hand. Good morning, I am Robert Ellison, new owner of this company. Starting today, I assume total control of operations. Ryan went white. What? What are you talking about? My father is the owner. Your father sold the company yesterday. The transaction is complete and certified. Here are the documents. Ryan took the papers with trembling hands. He read. He could not believe it. This is a mistake. My father was going to transfer the company to me today. We have an appointment. I am sorry, Mr. Miller, but I must inform you that your services are no longer required in this company. Same goes for Mrs. Jessica Miller. You are both fired effective immediately. Jessica, who had heard everything from her adjoining office, ran in. Fired? You cannot do that. This is a family business. It was a family business, corrected Ellison with a serene voice. Now it is property of Northern Industrial Group, and you two are not part of our plans. Ryan took out his phone. He dialed me. I did not answer. Jessica also dialed. I did not answer either. Joe told me that Ryan started shouting, that Jessica cried, that they threatened with lawsuits, that they called Attorney Carter, who could do absolutely nothing because the sale was completely legal. At 11 in the morning, security escorted them out of the building. My son expelled from the company I built, the company he tried to steal from me. The calls began. 1, 2, 5, 10. I was at the ranch packing the last things with Linda, seeing my phone vibrate again and again. Are you not going to answer? She asked. Not yet. At 2 in the afternoon, the buyer of the ranch arrived. A businessman from Houston looking for a quiet place for his family. He liked everything. We signed. $1.5 million transferred. Linda said goodbye to the horses. She stroked their noses one by one. She cried in silence. I loaded the suitcases into the car. At 4 in the afternoon, we left the ranch for the last time. Linda turned to see it disappear in the rearview mirror. I kept my eyes to the front. Where are we going, Ernest? To the airport. I have a surprise. At the airport, at the counter of a cruise line. I picked up 2 tickets. 15 days through the Caribbean, I told Linda. We leave in 2 hours. She looked at me with eyes full of tears. Ernest, you always wanted to see the Caribbean. I always promised you, and I never had time. Now I have all the time in the world. In the boarding lounge, my phone kept vibrating. Ryan, Jessica, Ryan again. Unknown numbers. Desperate text messages. Dad, answer, please. Mr. Miller, we need to talk urgently. What did you do? Why did you sell everything? Dad, we were fired. We have no job. We have no money. Every message was music to my ears. Linda noticed. Ernest, you are smiling. Yes? Yes, it is the first time I see you smile in months. We boarded the plane. I turned off the phone. When we landed in Miami and got on the cruise, I turned it on again. 97 missed calls. 97 attempts by my son to contact me. 97 times I decided that my dignity was worth more than his regret. Now I am here on the deck of this ship telling you this story. Linda is sleeping in the suite. Outside, the sea is infinite. The sun is setting. There is music in the distance, and I finally breathe in peace. The sea was calm that first night on the cruise. I was not. Linda slept deeply in the king-size bed of our suite, exhausted by the emotional weight of the last days. I was on the private balcony with a glass of whiskey in my hand, watching the lights of the port of Miami disappear in the distance while the ship entered the darkness of the ocean. My phone rested on the table. I had turned it on again out of curiosity. Mistake. 103 missed calls now, 6 more since we boarded. 42 text messages. I decided to read them. I do not know why. Maybe I wanted to confirm I had done the right thing. Maybe a masochistic part of me needed to see how far my son's despair had gone. The first messages were of confusion. Dad, where are you? Attorney Carter says you did not arrive at the appointment. Did something happen? Call me, please. Dad, people arrived at the company saying they bought everything. Is this a joke? Then came the disbelief. I was just fired from my own company. What is happening? Jessica was also fired. Dad, I need you to explain what you did. They kicked us out into the street as if we were criminals. Call me now. After that came the desperation. Dad, I tried to use my corporate card and it is cancelled. The accounts are closed. I have no access to anything. The bank says the monthly deposit was suspended. Why would you do that? I have bills to pay. Jessica is desperate. Please answer. And finally the rage. You sold the company behind my back? You are a selfish old man. That company was mine by right. I worked years there. Everything I have is invested in that company. Jessica says, we are going to sue you. This is not going to stay like this. That last message made me smile bitterly. Jessica, of course she was behind the legal threats. But there were more messages. These surprised me. We went to the ranch. There is a sold sign. Dad, did you also sell the ranch? I cannot believe you sold everything. Where are you and Mom going to live? I called Mom. Her phone is also off. Where are you? Dad, please. I need to talk to you. I made a mistake. I know. But you cannot destroy my life like this. That last message had arrived 30 minutes ago. I made a mistake. 4 words that arrived too late. I took a long sip of whiskey. The liquid burned my throat. I liked it. Physical pain was easier to process than emotional pain. Had it been too hard? Too extreme? No. Ryan had not committed a simple mistake. He had not forgotten my birthday or said something hurtful in a moment of anger. He had planned to rob me. He had conspired with his wife. He had consulted lawyers. He had prepared fraudulent documents. He had tried to strip me of everything I built. And he only regretted it now that his plan had failed. I decided not to answer. Not yet. I turned off the phone again. I put it in the suite safe. I would not turn it on again for days. The next morning dawned spectacular. Linda woke up more relaxed than I had seen her in months. We had breakfast on the suite balcony. Fresh fruit, eggs, freshly made coffee. The Caribbean sun shone over the turquoise water. Did you sleep well? She asked me while spreading jam on toast. Better than I expected. Did you check the phone? I put it away. I am not going to look at it for days. She nodded. She knew it was best. Ernest, do you think we did the right thing? It was the first time she asked, with doubt in her voice. Linda, they tried to rob us. It was not a family disagreement. It was not a lack of communication. It was a deliberate plan to take everything from us. I know, but he is our son. He was our son. The Ryan I knew would never have done something like that. Linda looked down. A tear fell on her plate. I miss the boy we raised, the boy who hugged us, the young man who asked us for advice. I do too, my love. I do too. We remained in silence for several minutes. Only the sound of the waves and the seagulls filled the space. And now what? She asked finally. Now we live. We enjoy these 15 days. And when we return, we decide what to do with the rest of our lives. And Ryan? Ryan will have to learn to live with the consequences of his decisions, like everyone else. We spent the day exploring the ship. It was huge. 12 floors of luxury, restaurants, theaters, casinos, pools, thousands of people enjoying their vacation without the slightest worry. For the first time in months, I also allowed myself not to worry. That afternoon, while Linda sunbathed by the pool, I sat at a bar overlooking the sea. I ordered another whiskey. The bartender, a Jamaican with an easy smile, noticed something in my expression. First time on a cruise, friend. First time in many years. Maybe 30. Ah, then you have much to celebrate. Retirement? Anniversary? Something like that. Let us say I closed an important chapter of my life. New beginnings are always good. Cheers to that. We clinked glasses. But the peace lasted little. On the 3rd day of the cruise, when we docked in Cozumel, I made the mistake of turning on the phone to take photos of the port. Immediately, notifications began to fall like an avalanche. 204 missed calls. 89 messages. 20 emails. The heart skipped a beat. Had something serious happened? Had someone died? I checked with trembling hands. The messages had escalated to another level. Ryan. Dad, we have gone 3 days without hearing from you. Mom does not answer either. I am worried. If you are angry, I understand, but at least tell me you are okay. I went to the house. It is empty. The neighbors say you left. Where to? Dad, I need money. I have to pay the apartment rent. The savings ran out. They cut my electricity. Jessica is desperate. Her parents do not want to help us. Do you know what is humiliating? That my wife family sees me as a failure. All this is your fault. Jessica had also started sending me messages. Mr. Miller, I know you are upset with us, but this is already too much. Ryan is destroyed. He does not sleep. He does not eat. He just cries. You are his father. How can you do this to him? My lawyer says we can sue you for dispossession, for family abandonment, for manipulation. You are going to end up losing in court, and then you really will have nothing left. But the message that impacted me most was from Joe, my ex-accountant. Mr. Miller, I need to speak with you urgently. Ryan came to the company yesterday. He made a scene. He screamed in front of all the employees. He said you betrayed him, that you stole his future. The new owners had to call security to remove him. He is very bad, Mr. Miller. Very bad. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. Linda approached. We were on the deck of the ship ready to go down to explore Cozumel. What happened? You went pale. I showed her the messages. She read them in silence. Her expression changed from worry to sadness, and finally to something I did not expect. Anger. Manipulation, she said with a hard voice. That is what they are doing. Emotional manipulation. Linda. No, Ernest. Listen to me well. Ryan tried to rob you. He called you a burden. He prepared documents to strip you of your company. And now that it went wrong, he comes to play the victim. How can his father do this to him? Seriously? And how could he try to rob you? I had never seen Linda so furious. She was always the voice of conciliation, the one who asked for calm, the one who looked for peaceful solutions. But not anymore. That girl, she continued, referring to Jessica, is poisoning him more. Legal threats. Lawsuits. As if you were the criminal here. Maybe I should call them. Explain to them. Explain what, Ernest? That you tried to defend yourself? That you were not going to allow them to rob you? You do not owe them explanations. They owe you an apology. A real apology. Not this theater of victims. She was right. Linda was completely right. I turned off the phone again. You are right. I am not going to answer. Not yet. We went down to Cozumel. We tried to enjoy the day. We visited Mayan ruins. We ate fresh fish on the beach. We bought crafts. But my mind was still on those messages. On my son, despair. As much as I tried to justify my actions, a part of me felt guilt. Was it right to let Ryan hit rock bottom like this? Was it not my responsibility as a father to help him? Even when he had betrayed me. That night back on the cruise, I could not sleep. I went out to the balcony at 2 a.m. The ocean was dark. The stars shone with an intensity never seen in the city. I thought about my own father. He died when I was 30, a man of the countryside, of calloused hands and few words. He never told me he loved me. He never hugged me. But he taught me something important. Ernest, in this life, nobody is going to give you anything. Everything you want, you have to earn it. With work, with sacrifice. And if someone tries to take what is yours, do not let them. Never let them. Those words had guided me all my life. And now was I letting them? Or was I defending myself? The answer came with clarity. I was defending myself. Ryan had all the opportunities. Education, work, respect, love. But he chose ambition over loyalty. He chose Jessica over his family. He chose money over dignity. Those were his decisions. Not mine. On the 5th day of the cruise, on an island called Grand Cayman, I finally turned on the phone again. 308 missed calls. 122 messages. But this time there was something different. Messages from other people. My sister Rose. Ernest, what is happening? Ryan called me crying. He says you sold everything and abandoned them. Is it true? My cousin Hector. Buddy, I heard about the business. Ryan is going around saying you went crazy. That Linda and you disappeared. Call me. My buddy Julian. Ernest, I need to know your version of the story. Ryan came to my house asking for borrowed money. He says you left him on the street. What really happened? Ryan was moving the family, painting me as the villain, seeking support, seeking money. Typical. I decided to answer only my buddy Julian. He was a fair man, a businessman like me, someone who would understand. I dialed him. He answered on the second ring. Ernest, finally. Buddy, where the hell are you? In the Caribbean. On a cruise with Linda. Silence on the other end. On a cruise. But Ryan said that. Julian, let me tell you what really happened. And I told him everything. From the beginning. The slights, Jessica comments. The plan to steal the company. The fraudulent documents. The transfer for $1. Julian listened in silence. When I finished, I heard a deep sigh. Son of a... Do you believe me? Of course I believe you, buddy. I have known Ryan since he was a kid. He was a good boy. But that Jessica, since he married her, he changed. My wife also noticed. There are women who poison Buddy, and your daughter-in-law is one of those. What exactly did Ryan tell you? That you became paranoid, that you sold the company without warning him, that you left them without work and without money, that Linda and you disappeared and he is worried. He asked me for $50,000 borrowed to pay his debts. And did you lend it to him? No. I told him first I needed to speak with you. That is why I am glad you called. Buddy, what are you going to do? Nothing. Let him learn. He is your son, Ernest. He was my son. The son I raised would not have betrayed me like that. Another silence. I understand your anger, but the boy is desperate. I saw his face when he came. He is destroyed. Good. Let him know how it feels. Ernest. Julian. You have 3 children. Hardworking. Respectful. What would you do if one of them tried to steal your company? He did not answer immediately. Probably the same as you, he admitted finally. But it would hurt me, buddy. It would hurt me a lot. It hurts me. Every day. Every hour. But my dignity is worth more than my pain. I understand you. But be careful, Ernest. A wounded son can do unpredictable things. And that Jessica seems like one of those who do not stay with crossed arms. Let them do what they want. The law is on my side. I sold what was mine. I did not commit any crime. We said goodbye. But his words stayed spinning in my head. A wounded son can do unpredictable things. On the 7th day of the cruise, we were in Jamaica, Montego Bay. Linda and I snorkeled in crystal clear waters. We saw colored fish that seemed painted. We ate jerk chicken in a restaurant with our feet in the sand. For moments I managed to forget everything. For moments I was just a 67-year-old man enjoying life with his wife. But the moments did not last. That night, while we dined in one of the elegant restaurants of the cruise, my phone vibrated in my pocket. I had turned it on to take photos during the day. A message from an unknown number. Mr. Miller, I am attorney Gerald Carter, the lawyer who prepared the documents for the transfer of your company. I need to speak urgently with you. Ryan Miller and Jessica Miller have hired me to initiate legal actions against you. Call me, please. The bite of food got stuck in my throat. Linda noticed my expression. What happened? I showed her the message. She pursed her lips. Her hand trembled slightly when she took her glass of wine. We knew this could happen. Yes, but reading it is different. Are you going to call him? No. That guy worked for them. He prepared the documents to rob me. Now he wants to negotiate. Surely they sent him to scare me. What if the lawsuit is real? Let them sue. I have all the documents. I have witnesses. I have Notary Ross on my side. They have no case. But the dinner was already ruined. The taste of the food had turned to ash in my mouth. The next day, more messages from Attorney Carter. Mr. Miller not responding is not going to make this disappear. My clients are willing to reach an agreement, but we need to talk. If you do not respond in 48 hours, we will proceed with the formal lawsuit. I decided to do something that was maybe stupid, but I needed to do it. I responded, Attorney Carter, you prepared fraudulent documents to strip me of my company. You tried to be an accomplice to a legal robbery, and now you want to negotiate. The answer is no. Sue if you want. See you in court. The answer arrived in minutes. Mr. Miller is misinterpreting the situation. Those documents were perfectly legal. Your son has rights over that company. He worked there for years. He worked with a generous salary that I paid him. The company was mine, completely mine, and I sold it. End of story. It is not that simple. There are laws about family businesses, about legitimate expectations of inheritance, about paternal obligations. Talk to a judge then. I already spoke with mine. I blocked the number. Linda hugged me that night in the suite. I am proud of you, that you do not let yourself be pushed around. Do you think I am doing the right thing? I think you are defending what you built, and that can never be wrong. But I was no longer so sure. On the 10th day the cruise docked in the Bahamas. Nassau, a paradise island where the rich of the world went to hide their money and their secrets. We were walking through the local market when I received a call from Harvey Ross, my notary. Mr. Miller, where are you? In the Bahamas. Why? Ryan and Jessica filed a formal lawsuit, dispossession, moral damage, family abandonment. They are asking for $8 million in compensation. The world stopped for a second. $8 million? That is a ridiculous amount. They are never going to get it. But the lawsuit is real. I need you to return to Texas to prepare the defense. Harvey, I still have 5 days of cruise left. Mr. Miller, this is serious. I know. But I am not going to let them ruin these vacations, too. They already took my company. They already took my ranch. They already took my peace. I am not going to give them these 5 days, Harvey sighed. All right. But when you return, we work immediately. Agreed? Agreed. I hung up. Linda looked at me with worry. 8 million? They are not going to win. Harvey said so. It is just to scare me. Ernest, no. We are not going to think about that. We are going to enjoy these last days. When we return, we face whatever comes. But the black cloud was already over us. The rest of the trip was different. We were still in paradise, but our minds were in Texas, in trials, in lawsuits, in the war that was coming. The last night on the cruise, I organized a special dinner in our suite. I ordered champagne, lobster, the best wine. I wanted to end the trip with some dignity. Linda put on her favorite dress. I put on the suit she had given me on our last anniversary. We toasted on the balcony with the dark sea extending to infinity. To us, I said, to 40 years together, to everything we built, to everything we lost, and to everything we still have left. To us, she repeated, and her eyes shone with tears. We made love that night like we hadn't in years, with urgency, with passion, as if we needed to confirm that we were still alive, that we were still us. Afterwards, lying in the dark, Linda asked me something that broke my heart. Ernest, do you think someday Ryan will understand why you did this? I do not know, my love, but I need him to understand that respect is not optional, that family is not a commercial transaction, that betraying your father has consequences. And if he never understands, if we lost our son forever, I could not answer, because it was the same question that tormented me every night. Had it been worth it? Was recovering my dignity worth losing my son? The last day of the cruise, while the ship returned to Miami, I turned on the phone for the last time. 436 missed calls, 212 messages, but I did not read them anymore. They did not matter anymore. Linda and I packed in silence. We left a tip for the cleaning staff. We got off the ship like two survivors of a war that nobody else had seen. In the Miami airport, waiting for our flight back to Houston, I finally decided to listen to the last voice messages Ryan had left. There were 17. The first was of rage. Dad, this is the last straw. Disappearing like this. You do not even have the guts to show your face. The fifth was of desperation. Dad, please, I need to speak with you. Jessica and I have no money. They are going to kick us out of the apartment. The 10th was a plea. Dad, I made a mistake. I admit it. But I do not deserve this. Please call me. The last message had arrived just 6 hours ago. It was different. Ryan's voice sounded tired. Defeated. Dad, I do not know if you are going to listen to this. Probably not. Probably you already erased me from your life. Jessica says you are a cruel old man who stole our future. But I just want to know if you are ever going to forgive me, if we can ever talk again, because I miss my dad. Even if I was an idiot, even if I tried something unforgivable, I miss you, Dad, and I am sorry. I am truly sorry. His voice broke at the end. I heard a sob before he hung up. Linda saw tears rolling down my cheeks. What did he say? That he is sorry. That he misses me. Are you going to answer him? I looked at the phone. I looked at my wife. I looked at all the people in the airport, living their lives without any idea of the pain I carried. Not yet, but soon, because there was something Ryan needed to understand. Forgiveness is earned, it is not begged for, and I needed to know if his regret was real, or just another manipulation to recover what he had lost. We boarded the plane back to Texas, back to face the lawsuits, the trials, the divided family, the looks of pity or judgment, but also back to rebuild, to decide what to do with the rest of our lives. Because for the first time in 35 years, I was completely free. I had no company to manage. I had no ranch to maintain. I had no employees to worry about. I only had Linda, $8 million in the bank, and a whole life ahead. The question was, what was I going to do with it? And more importantly, would I ever see my son as my son again, and not as the man who tried to rob me? Those answers would arrive soon, very soon. The plane landed in Houston at 8 at night. Rain, of course it was raining, as if the sky wanted to give the perfect welcome to our return to reality. Linda and I went through customs in silence. We collected the suitcases. Neither of us wanted to leave the airport, because outside everything we had left pending waited for us. In the taxi on the way to a hotel I had reserved from Miami, I turned on the phone for the last time. 500 missed calls. I did not count them all. The number did not matter anymore. But there was a message from Harvey Ross that I could not ignore. "Mr. Miller, I need to see you tomorrow without fail." The lawsuit advanced faster than expected. "There is a preliminary hearing in 3 days. And there is something else you have to know. Call me as soon as you arrive." Something else you have to know. Those words put a knot in my stomach. I dialed him from the taxi. "Mr. Miller, are you already in Houston?" "I just arrived." "What is happening, Harvey? What is that something else?" I heard a heavy sigh on the other end. "It is better we talk in person. Tomorrow at 9 in my office." "Harvey, do not do this to me. Tell me now." Another silence. Ryan went to the media, to a local news program. He gave an interview. The world stopped. "What?" He told his version of the story. He said you stripped him of his heritage, that you sold the family company behind his back, that you left them on the street without explanation, that you disappeared with his mother and nobody knew if you were alive. That son of a... Ernest, control yourself. I know you are furious, but we have to handle this with intelligence. Public opinion can affect the case. When did that interview come out? 4 days ago. It went viral on social media. There are thousands of comments. The majority. The majority is on his side. On Ryan's side, yes. They paint him as the victim, the hard-working son stripped by a selfish father. "You do not look good in this, Mr. Miller." I hung up. My hands trembled with rage. Linda looked at me with terror. "What happened?" Ryan spoke to the media. "He is defaming us publicly." My God. I asked the taxi driver to take us directly to my sister Rose's house. I needed to see that interview. I needed to know exactly what my son had said. Rose opened the door with a face of surprise and relief. "Ernest, Linda, thank God you are okay. I have been trying to locate you for days. I know, Rose. I am sorry." "Did you see Ryan interview?" Her expression changed to discomfort. "Yes, I saw it. Show it to me." We entered her living room. Rose took out her tablet. She searched on YouTube. There it was. Son denounces father for dispossession of family business. Full testimony. 400,000 views. I pressed play. The screen showed Ryan sitting in a television studio. He looked gaunt. Deep dark circles. Beard of several days. The perfect image of a destroyed man. The host, a woman of about 40 with a sensationalist tone, began. Ryan Miller worked for 10 years in his father company. A family business that he believed would someday be his. But everything changed in a week. Without prior warning, his father sold everything and disappeared. "Ryan, thanks for being here and sharing your story." Ryan wiped his eyes. Perfect acting. "Thanks for receiving me. It is hard to talk about this, but I need people to know the truth. Tell us what happened exactly." My father is a man I admire, or admired. He built an incredible company from zero. He taught me everything I know about business. I worked by his side for years. I thought we were a team, that someday I would take the reins and he could retire calmly. And what changed? My wife, Jessica. She started helping me with ideas to modernize the company. My dad took it as a threat, as if we wanted to take his place. He started distancing himself, making decisions without consulting us. Lies. Pure lies. The host nodded with fake empathy. And what happened next? One day he told me we had to talk about the future of the company. I thought he was finally going to formalize my position as his successor, but it turned out he had already sold everything, behind my back, without telling me anything. I arrived at the office and there were new people. They told me I was fired, that the company no longer belonged to my family. And your father? Disappeared? He and my mom. They turned off their phones. Nobody knew where they were. I thought something bad had happened to them. His voice broke, perfectly timed tears. The host handed him a tissue. Ryan, did your father give you any explanation? None. To this day I do not know why he did this. Why did he punish me like this? I worked hard. I gave everything for that company, and he simply erased me from his life. How are you surviving? With difficulty. My wife and I lost our income from one day to the other. We have debts. The landlord of the apartment where we live is pressuring us. My savings ran out and my dad still does not answer. Have you tried contacting him? Hundreds of times. Calls. Messages. Nothing. It is as if his own son did not exist. The host turned to the camera with a dramatic expression. A heartbreaking story. A father who abandons his son without explanation. Without compassion. We will continue following this case. The video ended. I stood looking at the blank screen. Rage boiled inside me. Linda had her hands over her mouth. Rose looked at us without knowing what to say. Is any of that true, Ernest? My sister finally asked. What do you think, Rose? Do you know me or not? I know you, but Ryan is your son. I do not understand what could have happened for you to reach this point. I told her everything. The complete truth. The fraudulent documents. The plan to strip me. The word burden. The transfer for $1. Rose listened with her eyes opening wider and wider. My God, Ryan tried to rob you? He did not try. He planned it. With lawyers, with documents, with full intention. And Jessica was the brain behind everything, I am sure. Rose shook her head slowly. I never liked that girl. Always so calculating. But Ryan? Ernest? Ryan was a good boy. Was. I do not know who he is now. We stayed at Rose's house that night. We had nowhere else to go. The ranch was sold. The main house, too. I could not sleep. I kept thinking about that interview. About the lies. About the manipulation. At 3 a.m, I made a decision. If Ryan wanted public war, he would have it. At 9 sharp, I was in Harvey's office. Mr. Miller, you look terrible. I did not sleep, Harvey. I want to make a public statement. My version of the facts. It is not a good idea. In legal cases, speaking publicly can. I do not care anymore. My son painted me as a monster. People believe I am a cruel father who abandoned his family. I need them to know the truth. Harvey sighed. All right. But we will do it intelligently. No emotional television interviews. We will make a formal statement. With documents backing your version. Do you have copies of the papers Ryan wanted you to sign? I have everything. Every document. Perfect. Let us prepare a devastating response. We spent all day working. Harvey drafted a 3-page statement. Clear, direct, with verifiable facts. Mr. Ernest Miller responds to the public accusations of his son Ryan Miller, clarifying the real facts. 1. Mr. Ernest Miller founded Miller Machinery, Inc. 35 years ago with his own capital. The company was always his sole property. 2. His son Ryan worked in the company for 10 years with a salary above market value, additional benefits, and the expectation of learning the business. 3. In recent weeks, Ryan and his wife Jessica presented Mr. Nate Miller with documents transferring the totality of the company to Ryan, name with a compensation of $1 American. 4. Said documents were prepared without the knowledge or consent of Mr. Miller, constituting an attempted dispossession. 5. That Mr. Miller, in exercise of his legitimate right as sole owner, decided to sell the company to a third party to protect his assets. 6. Mr. Miller deeply regrets that his son has chosen to publicly defame him instead of accepting the consequences of his actions. Attached are certified copies of the fraudulent documents prepared by attorney Gerald Carter at the request of Ryan Miller and Jessica Miller. What do you think? Asked Harvey. Perfect. Publish it. The statement came out that afternoon in the main media outlets, with scanned documents, with proof. The reaction was immediate. In a matter of hours, the narrative began to change. Comments on social media were divided. $1 seriously? That is blatant robbery? The son wanted to be too clever and it went wrong? Now I understand why the man sold everything. I would have done the same. But there were also critics. Even if the son made a mistake, was it necessary to destroy him like that? A father does not abandon his son no matter what. There are ways to punish without annihilating. Ryan responded that same night with another video on social media. From his apartment, without professional makeup, more credible. My dad published a statement lying about me. Those documents he shows were prepared by recommendation of a legal advisor who told us it was the best way to protect the family assets against tax changes. It was never our intention to steal it. We just wanted to modernize things. My dad misinterpreted everything and decided to destroy me. That is the truth. More lies, but effective. The media war was declared. 3 days later came the preliminary hearing. The courthouse was in downtown Houston, an old building with narrow corridors and a smell of humidity. I arrived with Harvey at 8 in the morning. Linda stayed at Rose's house. I did not want to subject her to this. Ryan and Jessica were already there with Attorney Carter. It was the first time I saw my son in person since everything exploded. He looked terrible. He had lost weight. His clothes were too big. He had the look of a defeated man. Jessica, on the other hand, looked furious. She looked at me with pure hate. Ryan saw me. For a second our gazes crossed. I saw pain in his eyes, regret, shame. But he did not approach. Carter took him by the arm and moved him away. The hearing was technical, legal, cold. The judge was a man of about 60. Serious, professional. Carter presented the lawsuit. Dispossession, moral damage, family abandonment. Harvey presented our defense. Legitimate sale, previous attempt of fraud, property right. The judge reviewed the documents. He asked questions. He listened to arguments. After 2 hours, he looked up. I have reviewed the evidence presented by both parties. It is clear there is a complex family conflict. However, from a legal point of view, Mr. Ernest Miller was the only registered owner of the company. He had the legal right to sell it without requiring consent from third parties, included his son. Carter intervened. Your Honor, there is jurisprudence on legitimate expectations in family businesses. Attorney Carter, I am familiar with the jurisprudence, and in this case it does not apply. The son worked as an employee, not as a partner. There is no document establishing a formal promise of inheritance or transfer. Ryan lowered his head. The judge continued, and yet the issue of moral damage and family abandonment is more complex. It requires additional investigation. I will schedule a full hearing in 30 days. Both parties will present witnesses and additional evidence. The gavel fell. We left the court. Harvey was satisfied. This is going well, Mr. Miller. The judge already showed he understands the legal situation. The moral damage part will be harder for them to prove. But I was not thinking about that. I was thinking about Ryan's face, about the pain I saw in his eyes. That night alone in the hotel room, I did something I had not done in weeks. I responded to one of Ryan's messages. See you in 30 days in court. If by then you want to talk as father and son and not as legal enemies, call this number, but only if you are willing to tell the truth, the whole truth. Without Jessica, without lawyers, just you and me. Send. The answer arrived in 5 minutes. Dad, can we meet before, please? Does Jessica know you wrote to me? No. That is how it has to be. When you are ready to talk alone without her, you let me know. She is my wife, and I was your father. But that did not stop you. He did not answer more that night. 2 days later, Ryan called me at 6 in the morning. Dad, can we meet today? Jessica went out of town. She went to Dallas with her mom. Where? In the park where you taught me to ride a bike, remember? Of course I remembered. At 10. I will be there. I arrived 15 minutes early. The park was quiet. Some morning runners. Ladies walking dogs. Children on the swings. I sat on the same bench where 30 years ago I consoled Ryan after he fell off his first bicycle. I cleaned his knees. I told him real men get up. Where was that boy? Ryan arrived punctual. He walked slow, insecure. He sat next to me. Neither spoke for a full minute. Finally he broke the silence. Dad, I do not even know where to start. Start with the truth. Why did you try to rob me? He closed his eyes. It was not my idea. It was Jessica. She convinced her dad to recommend us with Attorney Carter. She said it was normal for parents to pass the business to children ahead of time, that it saved taxes, that you would agree. And you believed her? I wanted to believe her. She is so sure of everything. So smart. She made me feel I was not enough. That without her I was not going to be able to manage the company. Ryan, at any moment did you stop to think you were betraying me? Tears began to roll down his cheeks. Yes, many times. But Jessica said it was not betrayal, that it was evolution, that all successful families do this, that you would understand later. And when you called me a burden, he covered his face with his hands. That was the worst thing I have said in my life. I did not think. Jessica had said it that morning and I just repeated it. Like an idiot. Like a damn idiot. That word destroyed me, Ryan. I know, Dad. I know. And I hate myself for that. I hate myself every day. I kept silence. I let him cry. I lost everything, Dad. The job, the money, the dignity. Jessica does not see me the same anymore. Her family despises me. Our friends disappeared. And you. I do not know if you are ever going to forgive me. Does Jessica know you are here? He shook his head. She forbade me to speak with you without the lawyer. She says anything I tell you can be used against me in the trial. And yet you came. Because you are my dad. And because I think Jessica was wrong. About everything. I looked at my son. At that broken man. That stranger who was once my boy. Ryan, I need to know something. I need to know. Do you regret it because you failed? Or because you understand that what you did was wrong? He looked straight into my eyes. I regret it because I betrayed the man I admire most in the world. Because I was ungrateful. Because I forgot everything you taught me. Dad, I do not expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know I am sorry. Truly. I nodded slowly. Are you going to withdraw the lawsuit? He hesitated. Jessica says it is our only option to recover something. That was not my question. I do not know what to do, Dad. I have debts. I have no job. Jessica is desperate. I got up from the bench. When you decide what is more important, your wife or your dignity, call me. But until then, see you in court. Dad, wait. I stopped. If I withdraw the lawsuit, will you help me? Not with money. Just, would we talk again? Would we have a relationship? I thought about it for 10 seconds that felt eternal. If you withdraw the lawsuit, if you divorce that woman who poisoned you, if you get an honest job on your own, and if for a year you show me you understood the lesson, then I will consider forgiving you. But it will not be easy, Ryan. And it will not be quick. Divorce? Jessica was the poison. While you stay with her, you will stay sick. Dad, I love her. No. You love what she made you believe you were. But that was a lie. I walked away without looking back. 20 days later, 3 days before the final hearing, I received a message from Ryan. Dad, I withdrew the lawsuit. I asked Jessica for a divorce. I got a job at a hardware store. It is not much, but it is honest. I am not asking you to forgive me now. Just know that I am going to spend this year proving to you that I changed. I love you. Linda read the message over my shoulder. What are you going to do? Wait and see if this time he is telling the truth. 1 year later, Ryan and I had dinner together for the first time. Without lawyers, without Jessica, without grudges. It was not the same as before. It would never be. But it was a beginning, and sometimes a beginning is enough. Now I am 68 years old. Linda and I live in a modest apartment in Chicago. We travel when we want. We help causes that matter to us. Ryan works hard. He earned my respect again, little by little. Did I forgive him completely? No. It still hurts. But I learned that forgiveness is not forgetting. It is deciding that pain is no longer going to control your life. And that decision I make every day.